Well, Charles, there's an awful lot of terrible stuff going on in the world right now. Where should we begin today?
Well, today is Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday?
Ash Wednesday.
Is it Ash Wednesday?
Today, yeah.
Because if it's Ass Wednesday, that's what that guy on the subway was doing, smearing that lady in the face with poo.
And in the back of her head. And then he laughed about it. He was just arraigned and he laughed about it. But Babylon Bee had a very, very funny thing. They're always pretty funny, but they had a headline today saying, evidently Joe Biden gave up coherent speech for Ash Wednesday for Lent, given what he did yesterday. I mean, my understanding is that events such as the State of the Union are rehearsed ad nauseum, and that the speechwriters really fight about the lines. They have many different ideas. They're constantly going back and forth about what line should be in, what line should be out, what should the order be, what should the cadence be. And it's not like Joe Biden has never given a political speech in his life. I mean,
he's never given a good one.
Well, I mean, he's got a lot of experience opening his pie hole and barfing to the public. But I have to say, I watched most of it, all but the last minute or thereabouts.
Go get him.
I didn't see that, actually. I just cut it off at the end of an hour. I said, I've done an hour. If he's going more than, apparently he did another minute and 40 seconds or something. But the speech was just platitude after platitude before you get into the fact that there were so many errors, including the money shot line. I mean, this idea that Putin may have encircled Kyiv, but nobody will demolish the fighting spirit of the Iranian people. And, I can understand slurring a word at age 79, but Iran versus Ukraine,
it's a big mistake.
It's a big mistake, and especially when you consider that we had the situation where we're all in, as the Biden administration, for resuscitating what should be actually really dead, the JCPOA, the Iran deal.
Yeah.
And when you make a mistake like that, it would be like Winston Churchill.
Was it over when the Chinese bombed Pearl Harbor? It's like, let him go.
Right. No, Winston Churchill said, we will fight them in the trenches and we will fight those fucking bitches. I mean, you have to get the lines right. And the only good news, I suppose, let's keep walking. We're here in Times Square, but the only good news out of all that is that, and I feel, and look, I understand there's some people who just don't like to learn, and there's some people who are mentally not there,
right.
And that would be Joe Biden at this point, and maybe he was never all that there, but given the fact that his performance was so atrocious. What?
General news. Oh, you just missed it. It said Biden's plea for unity or whatever, and the country is bitterly divided.
Right. But so the only good news, and again, I feel for people who have children who just are not cutting it in school. But the good news last night is that for the parents of the bottom 35% of those in school,
run for president.
Those parents can say, listen to their little Jimmy or little Susie, watch this speech, and what this proves is that even an idiot can be president of the United States. You've got a shot.
I think an idiot would be a better president of the United States than Joe Biden. But Charles, what have we got here with the TKTS? What this thing is?
So this has been around for a long time. It used to be 50% off in the 60s and 70s, I think, but now it's 20 to 50% off.
For the same day, right?
For the same day, and you go and you look at these prices: $73 to see Aladdin. I would pay $73 not to see Aladdin. But I mean, these are very expensive. This one, 35 to 65, Drunk Shakespeare. Biden saying, look, let's go to New York. Hunter will be there with me.
Crack Shakespeare.
Shakespeare on crack. And good news.
The take that goes wrong. Oh yeah, let's definitely see that.
That's about Biden. But I mean, I don't know. The Tina Turner musical, that might be pretty good. But at $98, and figure it's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and you got to get there. There's Dear Evan Hansen at $88.
I think I would prefer to watch it on HBO or something.
What's the play?
Doesn't matter. Point a camera at it.
Yeah. The last time I went to a play was a long, long time ago, and I remember that the seats, even good seats, are very cramped.
Yeah, they're thin, right? They're from a bygone era where people's asses weren't so gigantic.
Right, and the theater steps are pretty steep. and you've got all these people crowded sitting next to you, and there's various intermissions, and more often than not, you pay up for the tickets, and then somebody gets up at the beginning and says,
the main actor will be played by some loser tonight.
Some first-year drama student at New York Film School or whatever, New York Film Academy.
You want to go in here and try to change some rules, Charles?
Yeah.
That's my point.
What's going on with that? It seems like some pretty serious financial turmoil.
Look at these other Broadway tickets, these other prices.
Wait, this place sells Broadway tickets? I thought
so.
it's a money exchange.
Well, Music Man for up to $699.
What?
Hamilton, $359.
For what? $699.
I mean, you better get dinner with that. Dinner and some premium wine.
I would like probably $649 cash with that.
Now, I do know we're wailing on place, but I do know that actors, and you know more about this than I do, but serious actors claim that it is a far more challenging thing to appear in a play than to be in a movie, because each audience is different, and you're not getting a chance to redo anything.
Right.
People can interrupt.
I don't think you get paid as much.
I think you do pretty well, but you don't make $20 million
compared to movies.
But you get to go around and say, well, I won a Tony Baloney Award.
Right. Well, not only that, I think if you're a serious actor, there are major differences to the skill and just the process of being in theater versus a movie. And I think a lot of actors appreciate the connection to the audience and the emotional nature of a truly skilled actor can, really capture the emotions of a room. And there is something, like anything, when it's done really supremely well.
So we're pretty certain that Joe Biden will not be going from his present role to being a Broadway actor.
No.
But
when you observe somebody doing something really well, even if you don't like basketball, you can't look at Michael Jordan flying through the air, dunking like an artist, and not realize that dude has skills.
Boy can play. But let's just, for a second, a number of the Twitter followers or Twitter commenters were asking what was our view of the state, my view of the State of the Union. One thing that struck me off the top, finishing up on Iran and Ukraine, is that if Donald Trump, remember when he took a glass of water? And it was like, that's
two hands to drink a glass of water, that's crazy.
He nearly fell in the West Point and all this kind of stuff. I mean, if Trump had done that, there would be riots in the street now.
Yeah.
He's got to go. It's
Impeach him
ridiculous. Tell him to give his money back. This is ridiculous. No presidential library. And so that's one thing.
They could have a mobile presidential library inside the weed world.
Right.
For Joe Biden.
And then the second thing is, I always learn the most when I'm thinking about buying or selling a security or an asset by contrasting two similar securities. Right? You look at, Procter & Gamble trading up there, I think, at like a 27, 28 price-earnings ratio, and Unilever trading at 21, more or less the same kind of company. Why do you want to pay extra for Procter & Gamble? Similarly, when you look at this and you say, okay, Putin, according to the deep state, has lost his mind and or has cancer or Parkinson's because he's alleging that in Ukraine, a country that definitely had actual Nazis at the time of World War II and likely has neo-Nazis in it, which are definitely white supremacists.
Right.
Okay. For Putin to say that and launch this military operation, that's outrageous. Okay. But in contrast, Bite Me and his administration can get up there with no evidence that we've seen yet and say that the number one threat in America is white supremacist domestic terror.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Of course it is.
Both frankly, the attitude towards what Putin is saying by our supposed responsible mainstream press and the unwillingness of that same press to call the administration out and say, well, hang on, where's your evidence that there's white supremacy in this country? I mean, I recall, I was, I guess, 7 in 1963, so 9 in 65. And as a young child, definitely where I grew up in the village, you didn't see that many black people in school or whatever. It wasn't something I noticed particularly, but it was definitely a divided society for sure.
In the 60s.
Early 60s, before the various civil rights and voting rights acts and all that. So to say that in 2020 we've made no progress.
It's just wrong.
Is absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
Even since I was a kid, I think there's been progress.
And in fact, I would argue that there's
less got a Nazi tattoo.
Which, as you may know, in India is a sign of peace, actually, not
that
swastika.
That wasn't a swastika.
Oh, is that right?
It was a ruin or something.
Oh, was it?
And he made a face when he walked by. I don't know if that guy got on camera.
Who knows? But so the contrast to say with a straight face that we ought to train the security state against white people who might be supremacists. And of the 335 million people in this country, what percentage are white? And of those, what percentage are white supremacists? I got to believe it's a tiny, tiny percent. It cannot even be 1%. And then to say, as they like to say, you make the okay signal, I'm not going to do it, then you're a white supremacist. Right. No, the okay signal was the okay signal for a long time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get away with that. It's like saying you shake somebody's hand and you're a white supremacist because everybody knows the white supremacists have secret handshakes, which I'm not sure they do.
Think about it like this, Charles. I have no idea what percentage of the population is gay. But even before it became a mainstream talking point, it was obvious, just being in New York, that there was a population of gay people around.
Right.
Now, I cannot say that I've ever felt like, don't go hang out in that neighborhood because it's all Nazis and white supremacists.
I don't think there's any such concentration
I don't think it exists,
in New York
is what
City.
I'm saying.
I think maybe in northern Idaho, not to pick on Idaho, but maybe
I don't know.
Portions of the country, it does exist. But I mean, to say that this is a serious problem today, and more, to suggest that you're going to train the deep state and the social media oligarchs against white people, and then put you in a position where you have to comment. Any extremist that says something, the Proud Boys or whatever, you then have to have a comment of what do you think about denouncing it, and if you don't, that makes you a white supremacist.
Right.
I mean, it's just fucking preposterous. So I thought the other thing, I didn't point this out myself, I saw somebody mention that it's disgraceful that Biden said nothing about the 13 people killed in Afghanistan on the way up.
Good point.
He should have said something about that, about the brave sacrifice. And it's not, it's bad, obviously horrible for people to be killed in a war, but in some ways it's even worse, the people who are wounded and especially mentally hurt.
Well, it becomes a burden on their family, and it's almost like a living death.
Right, and here we have, as a young, impressionable Ute, as Rush Limbaugh used to refer to youth as Utes.
Got that from my cousin Vinny.
Oh, did he?
There's Hen Penny, a chicken restaurant.
Well, we'll go there later. But anyway, as a Ute, I remember my view was that the Flower Children and the Peace Sticks were against war of all kinds. They just didn't want to see fighting of any kind. And here we have, whether it's that idiot's Republican Senator Wicker saying, let's enforce a no-fly zone and shoot down the convoy.
It's just so stupid.
Or Hillary Clinton saying, we've got to launch a cyber war. Others saying, we've got to crush the ruble and crush the oil and gas industry and crush Russia. That is not an impulse of a peace-loving person. That's an impulse of somebody who's probably enthralled to the military and industrial complex.
Well, it's not very diplomatic either.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not suggesting we should pick on Liechtenstein, but
it's small.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't have nuclear weapons or much of an army as far as I know. It's not like you're saying you're going to pick on them. You're talking about picking on a country that's gigantic, whose troops are right next to and in Ukraine. Where are we going to get troops to go into Ukraine?
Don't even contemplate it. It's just the worst possible idea.
And how is it, and this guy I told you about, his name is Doug McGregor. He was on again with Tucker last night. Military advisor.
Right.
What he's saying now is that these initial reports of success by the Ukrainians resisting the Russians are just that, initial. They may be right, they may be wrong, but as the Russians dig in, these trained fighting forces are going to wipe the floor
Right.
with people. So let's just slow down here for a second.
Sure.
But so, because we can look at this
Yeah.
beautiful cityscape. Warning, keep out, poison, baited area. I think I'll rent that. You know, that looks exciting. Let's just put a restaurant in there
It's baited.
with poison.
Now you got to just switch it.
So to encourage a local population to rise up and
Right.
then to encourage the NATO people, why don't you send fighter jets?
Well, forget about fighter jets, just even the shoulder-mounted rockets, because what we're hearing is that, they're attacking civilian areas. Well, if you're launching missiles from there that NATO gave to civilians
Right.
and told them to use, it's no longer a civilian target.
Well, and who knows who's doing the launching? We
Right.
don't know that yet. But it's just irresponsible, I think, to do what we've been doing. And on our good friend, Katya Blanova, I spoke to her yesterday at length, and she explained that what she's hearing, and she's Russian, that doesn't mean she's an expert on what's actually going on, but she does have good sources. She's hearing that with regard to the airports in Ukraine, there isn't an airport in Ukraine that's under the control of Ukrainians. So the notion that foreign forces are going to ship fighter jets into Ukraine, where are they going to land?
Right. Also, Elon Musk said he's going to send
What?
Starlink satellites and stuff like that, but in the middle of a war, you're going to start being like, welcome to Starlink tech support. If you'd like to set up your new account, please push 1.
Right, here's the Victoria's Secret headquarters.
Oh, wow. I don't think I knew that.
This is probably where the suits.
It's not
think
much of
about
a
their-
secret, is it?
Yeah, this is where the suits regret their campaign to enlist the model corps that they've got.
What do you mean? Now they have...
They're gone with the beautiful women who are not representative of the average body type of
Right.
a woman, and now we have the average or more.
Doesn't exactly make people want to buy
Let's just
underwear.
say more people in the pre-split photo for Nutrisystem than in the post.
The before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so here we are. We're meandering up 7th. I guess I got Petrosian wrong. Maybe it's in the next block. Could be. You want to go 1 block over?
Sure.
We'll go by Patsy's. Speaking of Biden, a Patsy.
So, Charles, I can't remember if I mentioned this to you or not, but, RT was under a heavy, RT.com,
Right.
heavy DDoS attack. You couldn't look at it at all for days. They seem to have it under control. I was looking at it this morning, but they basically took it off the air in Europe.
Sure.
I mean, that's crazy. All these countries that claim to be democracies and they value freedom, unless we don't like what you're saying, then you have to be blocked.
But
off.
again, this is just silliness. I mean, what you learn, I mean, we go back to Galileo. You can go back before that if you want, but you go to Galileo, the lesson there is that we should have fucking listened to the dude. I mean, he had some good points. And when you when you stifle these viewpoints,
Yes.
what you can well end up doing, yes, you could succeed in keeping something secret for 3
a little while.
generations or 6 generations, as happened when the Catholic Church stifled all kinds of learning and knowledge for centuries. And you could do that, but you're destroying many human lives in the process, and you're making the arc of progress, the arc of history, as Obama likes to talk, you're turning it into a downward sloping dog line. Like that. And you're letting these people shit all over the process of learning. And that's not something we should be doing here. I mean, we have all these new tools, what you're using here to do this broadcast. I mean, every week you're constantly improving this way and that way. And we shouldn't be in a position where people who've done no legitimate studying of the history, which is most of the censors, I think, who are saying, no, we need to rush in. Any Ukrainian is better than any Russian. Forget the history. You don't need to know anything about the history. Just, fuck, what? Patsies.
But to protect you and your family, this facility is using bipolar ionization. So somebody with mental illness is going to be ionizing the place.
Jonah Hill's there. Look at these people.
Oh yeah.
Chaz, I like Chaz Palminteri. The Sopranos.
Palminteri has his own restaurant now.
Yeah. The
Oh,
Brady
yeah, there
Bunch.
he is. Brady Bunch. Hulk Hogan, Sylvester Stallone. I've never been in here.
Yeah, Sylvester.
Oh, here's the Who's the Boss reunion. in
Sylvester
2000.
Stallone is pretty short. That guy must be really short.
I don't know. Hulk Hogan's got him.
Of course, we can stop in the outdoor place, which they clean every 30 years.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking too good over here, Charles.
Yeah.
So see, this is what happens when Broadway shuts down. All these restaurants can't survive.
At the wrong Chen house.
Chicken soba looks pretty good.
I can leave you here and we can...
Nah, but why is a Chinese place selling soba? That's Japanese. I don't like it when they do that.
So this is the famous McDonald's I told you about. I don't think we've told the story
Smells like a
recently.
bathroom.
Well, look at all these bikes out front here. They're all... And this is the place where CNN is up the street here. And in the,
Oh, that must be the smell.
yeah, in 1415, I used to get up here early, as I like to do before a shoot. And I used to have a cup of coffee sitting upstairs. And I'm sitting upstairs.
Oh, look, it's all ATM now.
Yeah, and all bike messengers. So, let's just tell a story here. So I'm sitting, maybe we'll tell it right. So I'm sitting upstairs in there, and you could see from where I was sitting, you could see Columbus Circle. And there's this well-dressed Haitian guy, sitting down, and you can't tell how tall he is. And he's just sitting down. And this guy comes in who's, got a weird hat and he's got pants below, his ass basically, and he's talking jive and bullshit. And then he stands up and he starts saying, he goes to this guy sitting down and he goes, "My God is stronger than your," I won't say, but non-cisgender version of a human being. "My God is better than your God. Jesus Christ is non-cisgender," let's put it that way. And he starts mouthing off. He said, "My Allah is going to kick your God's ass."
What an argument.
I know, and this guy finally has had enough. And he gets up, and the other guy is like this tall, and the guy had been sitting down was like this tall. And he just proceeds to beat
In the McDonald's?
In the McDonald's. I'm saying he just beats
Wow.
the living shit out of this other guy.
Holy cow.
And
It's
because
a dinner and a show.
I know, it was amazing. And I said, I think at this juncture, I think I'll wait till I can get by the stairs and leave. And that was the last time I ever was in this place.
I don't think it's the kind of place.
Not
like,
for me.
why are you even,
So we'll go.
Right. Yeah, it's all DoorDash bikes over here delivering
Yeah, I mean, DoorDash
McDonald's
bikes.
from online.
I mean, you shouldn't be allowed to do this, to have, watch it.
I'm just walking.
I know, but he's carrying it big. You could drop it on your feet. So we're near Carnegie Hall here. It's another door.
And the
Grub
guys
Hub.
on the sidewalk with the Grub Hub.
Yeah.
So every 2 steps, we're almost getting crashed into. Now, Charles, what the hell is this with the giant new building erupting out of the top
Hearst
of it?
headquarters. So this was a very famous thing. The bottom was whatever, conserved or National Historic Building, and so
The what headquarters?
Hearst.
Oh, yeah.
And so
that's Citizen Kane.
that's Citizen Kane. That's all the famous magazines you've heard about. And
But obviously, at some point, they built the glass part on top of
yeah, that's how they
this.
got around the whole thing. They just
'Cause
said,
it's
okay,
historic.
you keep the bottom 5 floors, and we'll just build the tower on top.
How did people feel about that?
Well, I'm sure the New York Times, architecture editor was all
Pissed off.
crapping in his diapers. But so I don't know. Have we gone?
Well, we
west?
were going to go.
We missed Petrosian, I think, somehow. But
Well, and we also missed the Russian tea room.
well, it's going to be here on 57, so we just have to look
Oh, okay.
to the left or the right. Which way is it? I think it's to the right, but I could be wrong. A wise man inclines himself to the right. Let's just see.
Well, and then we kind of want to head east anyway, right, to check out the Ukraine.
That's Broadway.
Embassy.
Where's Carnegie Hall?
I don't know how to
think
get there
where
other
are we
than
now?
practice.
8th
Carnegie
Avenue.
Hall. I feel like.
All right, we'll go this way. We may have
Yeah, I
missed
think
it.
it's this way because it's near the Directors Guild. It's closer to 5th Avenue,
All right. So
right?
here-
It's like
I
right
don't-
next to the
I
Directors
don't know.
Guild of America.
I forget, but I think,
Ah, legal weed, Charles.
yeah. Got to get some pants like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Through those, the guy, walking down the street, puffing it up.
On the blunt with the Levi's.
You know, you're rolling. You're going right to your job interview. No, I'd like to be a crack lookout. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, no. He could be interviewing to be vice president of Weed World.
Yeah, by the way, did you hear this thing about Kamala Harris in her radio interview?
Maybe. I think you told me about it, but I can't remember what the details were.
Oh, my God. It was so... Tucker is really perfected. Maybe he's done this for a long time. And let's not stand next to this guy if he stops. So I don't want to get stoned.
What? That weed guy?
Yeah. But so Tucker has mastered the art of sarcastic commentary, and he was saying, it's just so fantastic that we have a vice president that's overqualified for the job.
Right.
And her analysis did such a great job on the southern border and her various tasks. And she was asked recently to go on a radio show to explain the situation in Ukraine. They put this clip up.
Oh.
And it's a show called The Hustle.
Right.
And it's some guy gets on and says, now, all right, in layman's terms, can you explain what's going on in Ukraine? And she goes, this is her talking, unless they've dubbed it. She goes, well, Russia is a big country, and next to it is a small country called Ukraine.
Right.
And the big country, Russia, invaded the small country, Ukraine, and that's wrong.
It's like the Kamala Harris nursery school book.
Right, yeah, as Tucker said on air last night, that's the cat in the hat comes to U.S. foreign policy.
Exactly.
It's just ridiculous.
This is a huge thing here, Charles. What is that building? Is that
cigarette butts?
That huge?
Well, that's one of these thin, new, expensive buildings.
Wow. So that's apartments all the way up there.
Above the stores, yeah.
Whoops. See, it's tricky to, once you get that.
These buildings, most of them are not occupied.
Really?
People own the apartments in many cases, but it's flight capital.
Right, just like parking their money there.
Yeah. That's a nice building next to it. Oh yeah, I know what that is actually. That's somebody contacted me about that building being a charity fraud.
This building?
Well, it's the organization's
in
inside, some kind of arts thing. New York, what does it say? The Art Student League. Yeah, the idea is that students over many decades have given art to this thing which they keep. And then the question is,
if that student becomes famous,
who gets, the charity can make a decision that we don't need to keep this art any longer, let's sell it.
Oh.
And if you don't sell it in a fair auction, you could basically turn around and give it to a friend. You say, this Picasso's only worth $500. It's from his shit period. Nobody will buy from the shit period.
He did have an anus period.
Did he really?
Well, I don't know. When you go to the Picasso Museum in Madrid, the closer you get to the top, the more it's pictures of orgies, ink and pen, with real emphasis on the assholes. It's weird.
Huh. Thank you for bringing that up.
Barcelona, not Madrid.
Oh, okay. You're saying the one in Madrid is more...
I haven't been to the one in Madrid. I've been to Madrid. I don't know if they have a Picasso museum, but I've been to the one in Barcelona, and it was cool.
Yeah, I think the Petrosian might be...
That's Carnegie Hall.
Yes, it is. And I think...
Yeah, you're right.
Petrosian, but let's keep going this way, because I want to go by the Russian tea room.
Oh, yeah, right. There it is.
This used to be a nice part of town, but it's kind of run down now. Most of these buildings are pre-war.
Yeah, everything's out of business around here.
And
holy.
Over 100 years ago, a great aunt of mine, whose name of all things was Mabel Montana Gormley, went to she was not an actress, she was an elocutionist, which was a big difference. And she went...
What is that?
Donut Run. She went to a school that, I forget the name of it now, New York School for the Performing Arts or something like that. And what they had to do was, to graduate, they had to give a performance here in Carnegie Hall. And
wow.
She performed in Carnegie Hall, I believe, just after it was built.
Wow.
And we're
That's
trying.
cool, Charles.
There are newspaper accounts, but we're trying to see if we can get a program or. I performed at Carnegie Hall in the choir.
Yeah, you've told
more
us
than
that.
once. It's very intimidating to do it when you're like 10 or 12. I mean, you go, you have to get here early, obviously, and it's fine to practice. It's a big room and you're practicing. But then when the thing is filled up,
Right.
and you go out on stage and you kind of make the mistake of looking around, you're like, whoa!
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I did it many places like that.
What
Lincoln
does it
Center.
say? Required proof of vaccination plus booster. F that. Carnegie Hall. So now it's not just practice, practice, practice. It's practice, practice, practice. Inject, inject.
Right.
That's how you get to Carnegie Hall.
That's right. Let's see, what does it say when it was built here? That's when it was fixed, the 15th, 86.
1986. Oh, Edward Koch. So
here we have a nice.
they said that the Russian tea room is suffering from people not wanting to go there.
Let's see. Let's see if we'll stand here for just a few minutes and see if anybody.
And actually, they denounced Russia. The Russian tea room.
Well, yeah, it's owned. I think the family that owned Warner Leroy, I thought, was the family that owned it.
Wasn't it Baryshnikov?
Maybe he later bought it. It's open.
You want some tea?
Is that what they sell, or just the room?
But
It's 3 kids. Wow.
I don't know.
See that? The girl had 3 kids with her.
Yeah, maybe she's the babysitter. But
I
they
want to
and
check
so
out the menu when he's gone.
They also have something on the other side of the building, different restaurant called the Russian Samovar.
All right, let's see how expensive this is, Jason. You think it's reasonable?
I have no idea. I think I've been in here, but it was a very long time ago. You get halibut for
Caesar-
$44.
The
Lamb
Caesar
chops,
tasting,
$52.
that doesn't say $65, does it? Caesar, it's can't see.
45. It's still
Only
dark
45.
over here.
And dinner?
Well, I mean, I might get.
Is that
They got-
stroganoff for $68?
Yeah, I don't want anybody stroganoff on my beef. I might. Wow, $35 for a burger
That's reasonable.
seems high.
Do you get a Russian?
Baryshnikov has got to pay for the tights.
You get a nice Russian dancer to sit at your table for that too, or
I
is
don't
it
think
just
they do it like that in there. It's pretty much.
actually?
Wasn't that where Dustin Hoffman's Sidney Pollack agent was having lunch in Tootsie when he walks in there? He's like, "Hello," and he sits there. He's like, "Hey, Michael, how you doing?" It's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, well, when Clarissa and I were working before we had kids, she wanted to go to a spa.
What's that guy doing? He's just dumping garbage right there out of a
He's looking
supermarket.
for stuff that you can redeem. Anyway, so she wanted to go to one of those spas out west. I forget which one.
Oh yeah.
And she went to the one in Palm Springs, the
Uh-huh.
very expensive one. And there she met the woman whose husband owned
Wow.
at that time in the early 80s. So then she would always go there. There's the original Steinway building.
And also a Hyundai something or other trying to be a Mercedes. You see that?
Where?
That's like an Equus or a, what do you call it? A Genesis.
But it's a shame that Steinway
Steinway,
building
yeah.
in its prime was really something nice.
And so what? That was like the factory where they made pianos?
No, the factory's out in Long Island City. This is the showroom. Here, what's the Directors Guild Theater? Is that for?
You have meetings in here and stuff.
But is that like? Is that play actors or
Premieres.
movies?
Movie Directors Guild. Yeah, this is the Directors Guild of America. I gave a presentation in here about how 3D can enhance the emotional response in a movie. People can find that still online. If you search DGA Jason Goodman 3D,
Wow.
I think you'll see it.
I've evaded numerous panhandlers in front of there, but that's all I could say about that building.
Well, I mean, I don't really get involved with events over there too much anymore, but like
That's
they'll have
pretty
stuff
cool.
like that. They'll have a.
That's cool.
Like after I gave that presentation, the guy who directed Thor and Terminator, whatever, he was about to direct Terminator, whatever, And Thor was terrible in 3D because those directors just, they don't care about doing something new. People don't really want to get...
Subway.
I think something's wrong with the brakes, Charles.
Something's wrong with every aspect of that shite.
Not good.
Hey, there's more garbage, Jason, on the
It's
corner of
unbelievable.
57th and 6th.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, I mean, this is... Jesus.
Oh no, it's that thing. That truck.
All right. But
It's like a winch or something.
this used to be really prime location.
The retail space is totally out right there.
Right. And I guess there's a new building going in, yet another new expensive building going in over there. And you see the curved one there, that's a lot like the W.R. Grace building
Yeah.
on 42nd. In fact, it makes me wonder whether,
Same architect.
the architects of, this client's from out of town. We won't tell them we've already done it down
Use
at
the same plans.
Yeah. We just make it 42 stories instead of 36. They won't notice. Same fee. In fact, we'll increase the fee the second time.
Unbelievable. So the other thing is, a lot of people are focused on the specific gaffes that Joe Biden made yesterday, which
Do
there
we
were
have enough time?
many. But for me, Charles, the bigger problem with it was, and you and I have discussed this offline, but if I told you, hey, Charles, I have a plan,
Oh yeah. I mean,
and
the
I'm going
economic
to
plan.
reduce the expenses of Crowdsource the Truth by hiring a developer to create a video server, and then if I do that, I can consolidate, we'll have better quality, and we can change it this way and that way, and I could outline for you a plan,
Right.
and you could say, all right, Jason, well, that either sounds reasonable or not reasonable, there's a
Right.
X amount of likelihood that it'll succeed, but you have just articulated a plan.
Right.
Versus if I just told you, Charles, I'm going to get $1 million and I'm going to become the president of the Empire State Building and I'm going to marry a supermodel and go to Mars. That's not a plan. That's like a 5-year-old's list of, wishes.
Yeah, and Biden's thing about he was talking about he tried to use the empathy, play the empathy card. I grew up in a family.
Oh, and then Bober.
when he mentioned the inflation thing, and I know about inflation, so I've got a plan to deal with inflation.
But not telling you.
No, he did tell us.
Lower everybody else's prices.
Yeah, he said, what
How?
we're going to do is we're going to increase wages,
Yes.
but lower all other costs.
How?
And like, dude, all other costs include wages. The stuff that you buy from a vendor,
Their wages
there
are
are
built into
wages
the cost.
involved with that. And in fact, you can actually look at that math. You can go and you can say, wait, there's an OBU 57. Total wages are whatever they are in the private sector. You can look at GDP excluding the public sector.
Uh-huh.
And you can look for a national average going back. Wages are a certain percentage of output. It's the math is already there for you. It's already been.
But you're already getting way more scientific and thoughtful and organized. I'm just saying, don't you agree that Joe Biden sort of just said a bunch of stuff and it wasn't an actual
ridiculous.
plan?
It was like somebody has been told, look, you're going to go in front of an audience. They're deaf, dumb, and blind.
Yeah, just
Nobody's
say
going to
this.
ask a question. Say whatever the fuck you want. In fact, the audience does not speak English. They're from Japan. So just don't worry. Say whatever you want. And, the people who are sitting there, Kamala Harris and I don't want to hit you, they're sitting there and he'd say something, like,
No, Nancy Pelosi does this thing where she's like, it's like from Friends, where she like rubs her fists together and it's like the opposite of clapping or something.
I don't know. It was pathetic with the capital P. And I think anybody, during the presentation actually, the oil market was trading and the price of oil went skyrocketing up like 6% or something.
Well, that doesn't seem good.
No, it wasn't good. So we're getting close to Trump Tower, the Tower of Power.
I'm just trying to see if anything crazy is happening.
Anything more than normal crazy, you mean?
Right. Yeah, Iranians matter, according to
Go
Joe
get
Biden.
him. Go get him.
So, like, exactly. I mean, who could he be talking about other than Putin with the "go get him"?
It's like, honestly, I shudder to think what it was like after he got into it, whatever his holding room was, where they, dressed him up, gave him a new diaper,
Right.
hosed him down, and then gave him some vanilla ice cream and a few Girl Scouts. I mean, how could that guy actually believe that what he did helped his case? And how could the Democrats, we haven't talked about the art department, but it's a good segue. I mean, I really do think the Democratic Party, to the extent they want to support this moron, really died. You could put down and say, the Democratic Party died on March 1st, 2020.
Well, because there are a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, that was a great speech."
Yeah, and they're all named Joe Biden. Let's go. You think they'll notice a JB 2022? Do you think they'll figure it out? It's me?
3033.
Yeah.
Be more like it. So here we are, Charles. But even the rubber Donald Trump is taking the day off.
It's like, that's as bad as Mike Lindell giving himself good reviews on Yelp. I mean.
Does he do that?
I don't know, probably. There's nobody in front of Trump Tower. Notice there's no security. I mean, I don't understand how you would need all the security while he is president and think that terrorists who wanted to send a message wouldn't try to blow the place up now.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter as much now that he's not the president anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we go? We're going to what? Down
51st? Yeah.
So you want to walk down 5th?
Yeah, let's go 3rd. We were always going down 5th.
We can wait. I just want to catch my breath for a sec.
So it seems like every day they're saying that these sanctions are going to destroy Russia and have. Well, what happened as a result of kicking them out of SWIFT?
I don't know about SWIFT, but what has happened here is that the stock market, I don't think in Russia, has opened. And why that matters, not so much to Russians who own shares, but to anybody who's gone and bought shares, particularly if they're leveraged.
You can't get your money out.
Well, even more than that, the person who's giving you a margin loan is saying you got to pay off the loan and give us more collateral. So I don't know that these moves are going to only hurt Russia. They're certainly going to hurt the Russian economy, but there's going to be blowback because the financial system's interconnected. And there's also the precedent that we're setting here, that in this country where you're innocent until proven guilty,
Right.
where you're tried by a jury of your peers, where there in theory is a chance to be represented, to have the charges laying against you and then to contest them and to force the prosecutor to share with you the evidence that they're actually
Face
using.
your accusers.
Face your accusers and all that. None of that here. Just this bunch of boneheads who are conflicted. I mean, whether it's the Biden family who took money, nobody is contesting whether the Biden family took money from Ukraine. Nobody is contesting it, right? Nobody legitimate is contesting that. At one point,
Well, no, Joe says, nobody said that. Next question.
he said that, but he's had to back off that. I mean, there's
Because people have said it.
Right, exactly. And so nobody is getting away with that one. And then when you think about your history, when you go back to 1066, which I know some people in our viewership know the history, but maybe most don't, the famed Norman conquest of England, what happened in 1066, it was a very cold year as I remember, is that...
Just real quick, Charles, did you know that this thing is now called 45, this bar?
Oh, no. Nice.
That's sad.
So
in 1066, I mean, what a battle that really did change human history, and perhaps the siege of Ukraine will change human history as well, will upset the New World Order. But the battle in 1066 started out with, they refer to them as Vikings. It's unclear whether it's the ancestors of the current Norwegians or Danes or who knows what. But there was a bloody battle first that lasted many months and killed a lot of English people. And back then, the Viking families and the English were intermarried. So that was a really brutal, bloodthirsty mess. And after that was over, and the English were licking their wounds, then the Normans, the French, came in, and then they defeated King Harold, the English, and took over England and changed the course of history and I want to talk about this for a second, in the continent of Europe. Now, I don't know if you're aware.
Sorry.
We could just wait for a second. I don't know if you're aware of this idiot with the red hair, not Psaki.
Harry?
Not Harry or Psaki. This leader of the.
I know a few more dopey redheads.
All right, the head of the 1619 project, which.
Oh
is,
yeah, she did something now.
Right. So this is a person who is illiterate.
But she
which
works
is a
for the New York
professor.
Times, doesn't she?
No, I think she did stuff in league with the New York Times, but she's now a professor somewhere.
Oh.
And she, in reaction to the Ukraine thing, had a tweet which said that the only reason, the fact that we care about what's going on in Ukraine proves that we're racist, because Europe, she said, there's a false definition
Oh,
of
it's
Europe.
not a continent.
False
Right.
definition of Europe as a continent, and no one, including Tucker, has pointed out that in her tweet she spelled definition missing an I.
Oh my God.
Defintion.
Oh my God.
It's
Well,
a
I looked up what makes a continent.
It
after
is a
that.
continent.
Yeah, because it said that there's no specific requirements in terms of it being an island or a peninsula or whatever, that it's defined by treaties and whatever.
It is a continent.
Of
It
course.
always has been. And for her to say something that stupid, and in
Yeah.
the middle of this suffering, we're only making an issue out of it because it's white people who are
Right.
suffering. Now
Well-
it is fair to say that we didn't go in at the time. Bill Clinton, our first black president, according to him,
Yeah.
didn't do anything. In fact, he exacerbated the Rwanda massacre.
What is that guy looking at?
I don't know, but the West has had a habit of saying, "Oh well, it's in Colombia, in Cambodia, Pol Pot and stuff like that. It's too complicated, too far away. We'll ignore it." That's a fair comment, but to say that Europe is not a continent, and that and that this just is further proof that we care what's going on in Ukraine is proof that Americans are racist. I mean, the woman should just go find a new hairdresser and shut the fuck up.
It's Whoopi Goldberg syndrome. They're like, oh, well, whatever's happening to you is not as bad as what happened to us.
Well, but you see, the difference about her, I'm very, if I make a mistake, and I do, I love it when people say, Charles, you made a mistake, you said this, and it's not true. And I will come and say, you know what, I said this, and it's not true. I'm sorry, I didn't understand X, Y, Z. I learned from my mistakes. When you go and you say, because I am a protected person of color, you can't criticize me,
Right.
and I can say whatever I want.
Right.
That's just bullshit. I mean, look at this.
The guy had Christmas lights in the other room. You see that?
Yeah. See this here?
It's pretty bad.
That's the kind of stuff that, my art
Oh,
teacher
sorry.
would have said, Charles, thanks for
You find something else.
wasting the materials in this big canvas. It probably set us back $700 in the oil, materials, overhead, etc. in my time. Never do this again. Pick something else.
How about the dog picture? Also
It's
bad.
just, it's ridiculous.
There's something that would be drawn on a notebook in high school.
Maybe they ripped it off the wall at one of these graffiti
But
places.
this one on the right, that looks at least like somebody tried.
Who's got shadows and interesting, but still, I mean, we're in 2022. People have made all kinds of experiments with art. This is not an advance in art. And if you want to spend a lot of money for this, go by all means. People buy absurd handbags made out of cellophane or plastic or whatever for $12,000. You want to go do that? That's fine. But don't try to tell me that you're an artist.
Well,
So here we are in Park, a block
Yeah.
up from the Ferrari shop. I know I don't like to get you too near there because every time we go near there, you buy another car.
there's my car as a taxi.
Here's a nice look, camouflage on the grill.
Yeah. The other thing is Elon Musk has been tweeting about Joe Biden because he said something about,
Charging stations.
Well,
I didn't mention Tesla.
right, the leading American makers of electric cars and whatever. He's always not mentioning Tesla. That was ridiculous, Charles.
Still not cool.
That guy weighs more than the motorcycle.
I know. The motorcycle's screaming.
It's
still
like, how-
this is unfair to motorcycles.
That's about to become an anal Schwab for that guy. Now this person's going to try to really against the light.
He
Real good.
He's from
Maryland.
Figures. Probably the former mayor's son was going to park there and take out a gun and off you.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and then the other thing Joe Biden said, he's like, I'm from Delaware. We got more corporations than people. It's like, wait a minute.
No. That's far worse what he said. What he said, I'm here with Senator.
I like that, Art.
Senator Carper and Senator Coons and my congressperson from Delaware, and we're from a place where there are more corporations in America than there are in any other state.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That actually is true, Joe. But what the fuck are you talking about?
He's just so stupid. I mean, I watched the thing. I'd be cracking up if I wasn't riding on the bus that this blind, drunk, brain dead, sleep at the wheel bus driver was driving.
Right. Exactly. We unfortunately, I mean, this guy can wake up tonight at 2 o'clock in the morning and nuke New York. I mean, for all we know,
You're saying Biden or Putin?
Biden.
Right. Well, the other thing that he's doing that's dangerous is that he's just
existing.
I mean, here's the thing. When somebody airs a grievance and you just totally ignore it without addressing it, I don't understand how people can allow that elephant to remain in the room. I haven't seen Joe Biden come out and say, Putin has said A, B, and C. These things are false because of this, that, this other thing that he didn't mention, etc.
And that other thing. No.
But instead, they're just saying there's no reason for this invasion. And it's like, look, you might disagree with the reason, but saying that there is none is simply false. What was going on there?
This is proving that he can accelerate it in 100%.
That is the big one.
Yeah. So the folks at Document-NO, which is a Norwegian excellent site.
Oh yeah. So we saw that in Norway.
Right, we met with them and they send their regards to you. They taped me just now for a show that'll air, I think, tonight. And they're back in the business, so we'll probably do an interview once every week or 2 weeks or whatever. They're really good guys. And they were emphasizing, this guy, Geyer, G-E-I-R, really good journalist, was emphasizing the importance of learning from history. And I remember as a young student, I thought history, well, I don't want to learn about history, I want to make history. So, but actually, rather than making history and making a mess of it, which is what Biden's doing, you kind of should learn from history. And when people from a significant power, which Russia is, bide their time without complaining, but nonetheless start saying, you know, we don't want you to put American nuclear weapons on territory that used to be part of the Soviet Union or the Warsaw Pact. This is not what we agreed in 91, 92. Here's this letter we have and this undertaking we have, and we just don't think this is right. It violates the spirit of our private discussions, and you and your, hey, that's where Biden works.
Bumble and Bumble.
When they start saying that, and then when they raise their voices, and then when they start pounding the table, and you just say, you know what, you're just talking about history. We don't want to talk about history. Let's talk about the future.
Right.
It's possible that
they're gonna get pissed off.
Well, it's possible that somebody who is out of resources and has no weapons and is not going to pick a fight with America and NATO will give up. But that's not Russia.
Yeah.
And to go and just demonize these people nonstop is a page out of what happened that triggered the Japanese assault on Pearl Harbor. You know, we told the Japanese, you're not going to get any fossil fuels or anything. They desperately needed it for their economy. They said, okay, if you're not going to let us be in the player of the economy, we have to take you out. And look what happened.
Yeah.
And so this is just, everyone was talking at the time that Trump, all the people on the left were saying Trump's going to start World War III. Biden is starting World War III.
It started.
We stay on third.
It's underway. Yeah. Oh wait, because it's on. Where did I say?
Said 51st.
Yeah. We'll just go down here. We should run into it.
But honestly, whether it's in tolerating, we look at, it's okay for that slim ass, dumbass, Justin true dope,
Yeah.
to seize the property of peaceful dissenters. That's okay. To start taking not only the property of the dissenters, but
Even anybody who gave them a contribution.
whether they're Canadians or not. That's okay. But that kind of tyranny is okay in a country that has a constitution. And they were just expressing a view. That
Well, we haven't given that enough attention, Charles, because remember, there were people who paid money to bail out the guys
Right,
who
at BLM.
burned down buildings and firebomb the cops and drive their
including
cars.
Kamala Harris.
Right, and so now, if those guys want to do murder or attempted murder through bombs, bail them out. But
Right.
if you just want to give $25 to the truckers so that they can buy food, no, you're not allowed to do that.
It's just outrageous. And only, I mean, there's some people who are prepared to fall for that. They typically are MSNBC contributors and the 6 viewers left. They are on CNN. But most people look at this, and the polling data is bearing out my theory. I mean, black support for Biden is plummeting. Independent support for Biden is plummeting. Hispanic support for Biden is plummeting. And that's why your poster, the art department's great poster, is we're talking about a party now. We're not talking about individuals. We're not talking about
Sorry, Charles. I forgot to turn down the volume on the rabbit. His gas is very loud.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. The Energizer dummy.
I'll turn it down.
That's the Lipstick building. Isn't that the Madoff building there? I think it is.
Is this the Lipstick building?
Yes.
I thought that was in England.
No. That's it.
Whoops. We got to get rid of this.
And interesting, Bernie Madoff's, was it one of his sons and their wife died?
They committed suicide.
Yeah.
But it was a murder suicide or a double suicide, and
We don't know.
they're not. Well, I mean, that should be big news, and shouldn't we be looking? All these people commit suicide, and it's like, oh, that's probably legitimate.
Sure. Exactly.
Brunel, nothing on that.
Nothing on that.
Huh.
Never mind.
Wow.
Peter Smith, never mind.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Peter Smith. We're going to start talking about that some more soon. It might be out of the scope of
Let's
today.
make sure we cover all of what we're going to talk about, Bite Me and all that. But we can talk about Peter a bit later if you want.
I think that we're going to... There's a Beagle. Don't let Fauci know.
Don't let the owner know what Fauci did to Beagle.
Well, we'll get more into Peter Smith in the future, but I think he's actually a much more significant character than we even realized.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Well, we have... the other thing is that we have... I don't know if Satan has said anything recently.
Who?
Hillary.
Oh.
About Biden. I mean, the day before she said that, like Pelosi, Joe Biden is handling this brilliantly. But
There's a Honda pickup truck.
okay,
I don't know that I've seen that before.
Honda's had pickup trucks forever.
Ridgeline? Maybe.
But so we don't know yet what other folks, other people, possible standard bearers of the Democrat Party have to say about Biden's speech.
They're saying it's good.
Hillary is?
Well, like 17 hours ago, she had a tweet that she's so proud to have like a responsible president again or something like that. Right. It was like, oh my God.
17 hours ago. Where would that put us in the Chardonnay time frame?
Well, that was before I left, so it's 19 hours or something.
Before or after the bucket was open?
I guess it must have been before he made the speech, though, if it was 17
So it could be
hours
bucket
ago.
was involved at that point. He spoke at 9. If she probably starts drinking at 6 a.m.
Doesn't she want to sort of find a magical way to criticize it without criticizing it so that she can be president?
Of course. She is president in an alternative universe.
So that guy scratching the lottery ticket, like if I...
That's an investment.
Well, I mean, in other words, if I came to you 5 years ago and said, Charles, I have a plan. My skills as a cinematographer tell me that cell phones have crossed a threshold where they're going to start to be useful for broadcast video, and I want to create a channel that will be sponsored by viewer sponsors who go to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And I'm going to put together this multi-camera system where I'll be able to do shows that will sort of cross the bridge and fill the gap in between independent news and expensive, highly produced news shows. And I'm going to get phones and this software, and that's the plan.
Right.
That is a plan.
Right.
Whereas if I just said to you, Charles, this plan is contingent on me, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to win the lottery. That's a less good plan.
And then I'll buy this building over here for $1.
Right.
This building actually, I think, did sell for $1.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned something about that, but that's why, because...
It's hopeless.
Oh, because it's got so many liabilities that you don't even...
A friend of mine had an investment in this building. It's absolutely hopeless.
What's hopeless about it?
It's just some buildings have cost structures that make no sense and don't have tenants and have liabilities and have asbestos in them. And
And you got to do something.
I don't know that this has asbestos, but you said 51st is where we want it to be.
I thought it was 51st and... Well, what's the address of it?
You're talking about Panda Express? Is that where the Ukrainian embassy is? Panda Express?
220 East 51st.
It's going to be a few blocks, like
Okay,
in
so
there a
we'll
little
go
bit.
left.
Probably right next
There we
to
go.
Panda Express.
You're getting a lot of radio static here.
There's a police station right near here.
That could be it.
Yeah, it's great. You got Panda Express and you got a massage parlor on top of it.
Panda Express is disgusting, like make me sick immediately.
Now, Jason, weren't you telling me about Demolition Man and Taco Bell? And
Oh yeah, well, but I mean,
Taco Bell is better than Panda Express?
well, it becomes the most popular restaurant in the future.
My Chinese food, my number one tell is, are there Chinese people in it?
Right.
If not, I'm no interested.
And
Not
Panda
interested.
Express, probably not.
Don't see any. This is, I guess, the America-India Foundation is on 46th from memory. There's
Rajat
214,
Gupta?
there's 220. There's the Ukrainian flag.
Right, so I was over here the other day, and then there's a separate Ukrainian mission to the United Nations. But I think it's strange that there's nobody here. Why aren't there people kind of like
Let's look and see.
not protesting but demonstrating in support of Ukraine?
Well, they probably figure Biden did such a great job. Caution, blind man driving. There's Biden's car. Yeah, that was useful.
Why is that guy honking at
Because
us?
he's a moron. He's a Joe-ron.
Well, the cops are still here. They had a dog the other day sniffing.
Yeah, they're standing outside. You got
Maybe that dog's name was Joe Biden.
multiple cops.
Yeah, the police are still here texting. Good
course.
cell phone reception here.
Is that guy police or not? He could be plainclothes.
I think so.
This is the permanent mission.
Right. I was going to say, this guy looks Ukrainian. Everything cool? You guys doing all right? Thank you. What did he say?
I have no clue. He's like,
Sounded like something
I'm
in
late
Russian
for the
or
neo-Nazi meeting.
No, I don't know if that's what he said. The cops are eyeballing us just for walking by there.
Yeah, because you have that camera.
Well, somehow I could tell that guy was Ukrainian. He looked a bit like my ex-brother-in-law.
The fact that he was walking into the
No,
permanent
as he
mission?
was approaching, I said to
Oh.
myself, this guy's Ukrainian.
Okay. All right.
I should have blurted it out so there'd be no doubt.
No, I'll give you the
What is
benefit
this
of the
flag
doubt.
right here?
Probably Lebanon, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just see.
Didn't France have something to do with Lebanon?
No, it's the Republic, the Equatorial Guinea Republic.
Ah.
Probably
that
that's
not
like
offensive?
you haven't paid.
To Italian people.
Stop,
It's
Jason.
just the whole country should change its name because that's racist.
Or we could go here to Charisma. Mediterranean American cuisine. Actually, this Ama used to be an Italian restaurant, and it was pretty good.
Now it's Sushi U.
I think it's out. Upstairs used to be a very good Italian restaurant.
Yeah, I don't know. all of these outdoor things for the restaurants is an overwhelming amount of them empty.
I mean,
like,
if you were to take a rat dropping detector and look at this, I mean, I got to believe this is unbelievably filthy.
I think underneath this press board is probably things that you just don't want to have anything to do with.
That's right. Ancient history, like the Democratic Party.
Now, I'm not sure where the other Ukrainian
He said it
thing
was
is.
on 40th and 240, I think.
51st?
No, 240, 40th Street. So we'll go down 2nd.
Is that what I said? I'm terrible at remembering these kind of things.
That's okay. Fortunately, I'm halfway decent. So we'll just go down this way. Now, I don't think we've been on 2nd in a long time,
Yeah,
have
so
we?
this is a good...
That's nice.
Some-
Nothing
somehow-
could go wrong there, tripping on that.
I guess it's this tree must be dead. This is the cornerstone of all whatever.
So yeah, we're actually not that far away from 40th Street.
Yeah. It was very troubling, Charles. I mean, it's just all these people who are living in this reality distortion layer where they're trying to pretend that Joe Biden is a functional president when he's not only the worst president, he's one of the worst things to ever happen to the United States and the rest of the world.
Well, I don't think, I mean, when people, Biden was trying to claim that the economy is really strong and we just don't understand how strong it is, give him a little time and things can sort of, and he made, you know, several people have done the 10 things wrong, the 17 things wrong, and that comment that he made, which was really outrageous, there are many bad ones, but one was particularly from an economic standpoint, he has created more jobs than any president in history. And somebody pointed out the jobs that you're counting for people who left their job to come back to their job, that is not creating a job. That's merely you force them not to work, and now they're going back to the job they already had.
Yeah.
So that's not creating a job. That's nice.
Yeah, that guy's just moved in there.
Right.
Oh, you can smell him from here.
Nice.
But that can't be good for you. If we could smell that guy, whatever bacteria and whatever it is that's causing that horrible smell.
I tell you one thing,
Well,
it's
it's
not.
coming over here, it's entering your nose and it's touching your brain.
It's not soap, that I'm sure. And here, this can't be great. COVID test over here, fresh fruit over here, bum over there, lavatory over there. I'm sure that's connected to pipes, not. This is where Katharine Hepburn used to live, down here. And there's the Ukrainian flag, too.
Oh, that must be the place.
We'll walk up the, you sure, 49th Street?
Yeah, that sounds right, 49th.
Yeah, I think you said 40th.
Oh, it's Katharine Hepburn Place.
That's where she lived, yeah.
That's cool.
She was a great actor. Are you supposed to say actor or actress?
I think it depends on what the person wants. An actress is now sometimes, you know, sexist, but...
I did watch a little bit of the Screen Actors Guild Awards or whatever, and that actress or actor I like, Helen Mirren.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I suppose she just has an English accent, so she sounds good. But there are people standing in front of this.
Right, these are all Ukrainian consulate cars.
So
Well, Charles, what about languages where you have a masculine and feminine version of certain words?
Racist.
Right, I don't understand. What do those languages do about transgender stuff?
Or I don't know. I mean, why would you say that the diminutive form is the feminine, and that the You told me before 40th Street, but I guess
I might have misspoken, or perhaps
you saw the zero as the 9 as a 0.
I think I remembered 49th because I remember thinking they were very close to each other. So I may have.
Yeah, I mean,
perhaps my mouth wasn't functioning properly.
I wasn't listening. Yeah, this is the Consulate General.
So this is what I sort of expected to see. Would be people here, kind of, you know, positively supporting.
Right. We stand with Ukraine.
What is that veteran hat?
Afghanistan.
Wow, why is that here?
Because there were Ukrainians who fought in Afghanistan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We are Russian and we stand with you.
Where is that?
Yeah.
There's an Israel flag.
Sure, there's obviously a very active Jewish community.
So I think people are actually here waiting to do legitimate business and don't want to be seen. So let's maybe move
Let's
on.
keep going. Worried about their loved ones, as they should be. Go to the China Chalet,
The what?
straight ahead.
Oh yeah.
China Chalet.
But here they call it the China Shallot.
Chalet.
Shallot.
So back in the day, these buildings used to be not that expensive because it's in office neighborhoods, and that's an interesting one over there.
Indeed.
Fake. What is that called? What's that architecture style?
I don't know. It's the
English.
garden face, brick face, and stucco. Garden State. You remember those commercials?
I do.
Garden State, brick face, and stucco.
Indian Spice Rave. What could go wrong there?
Here's a townhouse available, for
available.
you, Charles.
Let's see.
It's the chakras of it are, all balanced and everything.
Yeah, you can have your
Oh, this is out of business, the Chalet.
still out of business. I forget the name of the restaurant beforehand. It was pretty good. This Barolo has been here forever.
But I mean, any
Since
restaurant in New York City that was in business at 4 o'clock would not be arranged like this. They would be getting ready for people to come over and eat food.
I was in that Walensky's Grill when a taxi went into the
Whoa,
side of it.
holy crap.
Fortunately, we were in the back.
Anybody get hurt by that?
Yeah, not badly hurt, but
Wow,
because
the wall stuff.
yeah.
Even so, you go to dinner and get hit by a taxi, that's a crappy.
I wonder
turn of
what
events.
they're charging now for a steak at Walensky's these days. It's got to be 65.
Over 60 bucks, I would think,
more.
yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
So did Biden put a lid on the rest of the week after
I
he
don't
did
know.
that stupid speech?
Well, today he spoke. I think he spoke to some Ukrainian church official because it is Ash Wednesday, and it's interesting the reaction so far. The press is spinning it that Putin is on his knees, that he's willing to have. There's supposed to be talks in Belarus today. I before we set off, I didn't see any signs that the talks had happened, and they're 7 hours ahead.
Oh,
So I think by now they haven't either have happened or haven't happened, but more likely have not. And the shelling apparently has stepped up in Ukraine.
But who's doing that shelling? I mean, we don't know. When you see, like I was looking at the 5, because Fox is a weird thing right now in that they're like sort of saying that Biden is stupid, but also Russia's very evil and bad. Charles, I know you love the show Taurus, 4-wheel drive, 365 turbocharged horsepower. People seem to be impressed with my obscure knowledge of
You're going to have to do, what's the show about cars?
Jay Leno's Garage.
That's a great show, but no, what's the one like the car expert show?
Top Gear.
Top Gear. There's Jason
I'm not
Goodman.
at that level,
Yet.
but I do have a special place in my heart for the show Taurus. Not so much that turbo one, that came out in the late 2000s, but my dad had a show Taurus in high school. That was another car I used to...
You had one in high school? How'd you know
Well,
that?
I was in high school.
Oh.
He was not.
Eventually, he certainly was in high school at one point.
At that time, he
okay.
wasn't. That was like 1988, maybe?
Jason, you're not making all that much sense, and I think you need a COVID test. Fortunately,
Yeah,
there's a
poke
place
my
right
brain.
here.
Yeah, it was very weird. People who were watching my visit up to the Klaus Schwab headquarters at
Anal
the
Schwab.
Anal Schwab headquarters at the World Economic Forum. I hope people will go back and watch that video again. It's on YouTube. But what happened was, I saw them loading something into an ambulance, and the police showed up well after the ambulance was there. The ambulance was there for like 10 or 15 minutes or more. And then some guy got all bent out of shape that I just asked the cops, like, what's going on? It looks like you just loaded cases into the ambulance. And the cops said, no, there's a patient in there. And I said, why are the police here? And then they said, because to help. And I said, that's strange. I thought the police were supposed to enforce the law and that ambulances help sick people. And the guy laughed. And I said, yeah, that is funny. I agree. The police enforcing the law is laughable. And they just walked away. And then this guy who was a banker, looked like he was an Indian guy or something.
He's probably a taco salesman.
Well, he just got all upset and you know, cursed at me and then said I started cursing at him. I'm just amazed by...
There are a lot of irascible maniacs in this city.
Trying to force them into irascibility.
And we're getting close here to the former, I don't know if RT still keeps offices here in New York City, but we're very close to where they used to be.
Well, they're getting shut off everywhere.
It's right here.
Oh, it is?
Used to be.
I mean, isn't shutting down the opposition what somebody who is in the right always does? Oh, it's not?
No. No, and that actually I started to say what Tucker was saying last night. Had a number of very good things that he said. One of them was that one of the important founding principles of this country is freedom of expression.
Right.
And the reason it's so important is that there had been, in England in particular, long periods where dissent was stifled. And what that did is it caused people who had grievances to magnify those grievances and have the grievances, instead of turn into debate, turn into violence.
Explode at the end.
So the theory was better to let people air their grievances and have a frank exchange of views. Because you could have a grievance, you could say I did something when I did it. Like one time in the house that I bought, sitting there, top of a hill, and watching with Clarissa a cop and robber show. And you know, there were sirens everywhere, and there's a big old-fashioned VCR, gigantic one.
And shrunk those buttons.
No, but like it was the size of that.
Yeah.
You know, a very big thing. And so we're sitting there watching this show, having a good old time, enjoying our house. And next thing I know, I think I see sirens in our courtyard. And then I walk out of the den and I walk to the front door, which is like 60 feet away. And I open the door and there's a state trooper.
Huh.
And the guy looks at me and he says, "Get a doorbell."
Wow. So what a
And
dick.
I said
More
to
consulate
and
plates.
I said, "What the fuck are you talking about? And what are you doing here?"
Right.
He said, "Get a doorbell." I said, "Listen,
Don't tell me what to do.
who are you?
Yeah.
Give me the name of your boss, and you wait right here outside, and I'm gonna call your boss. You can't come to my house now and yell at
Insist
me
I
on a
get a
Saturday
doorbell.
night to say I don't have a doorbell. The fuck is your problem?"
And what did he say?
And he was with this guy who had bought land next to me, who somebody had gone in and taken a bulldozer and put trails all through his land. And he thought I had done that.
Right.
The guy explained it to me, and I said, "Listen, I don't do that kind of stuff. And what are you doing here on a Saturday night?
To talk about
What
it,
is your
right.
name?"
Right.
You may not understand something, but I have a perk of my job is I have a lawyer, top lawyer, an internationally famous firm who will work for free. I'm gonna sue your fucking ass. So what
Exactly.
the hell are you doing here? So that was
Cleared up.
cleared up rather quickly, without a suit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people get crazy and have all kinds of
Right.
stupid ideas. I mean, that guy on the street, the point I was getting at with that guy is that all the evidence in the video seems to indicate that no person went into that ambulance despite what that guy said. And even while he was arguing with me about his friend,
Right.
purportedly being inside that ambulance, I said to him, "Why is the ambulance sitting here? Take the guy to the hospital." And it didn't leave.
Right.
It's all diplomatic plates around here, Charles.
Well, it's
I know.
So, now have we finished on Biden and the State of the Union?
I don't think so. He hasn't finished. He's not going to be done until he's destroyed everything. Here, wait. UPS is coming soon.
That's good to know.
So everything is being shipped.
That's good to know. That doesn't require any oil and gas, does it?
Well, right. It's interesting to see how the sushi place went out of business, but we're seeing how New York is being reshaped.
It's all liquor,
Booze,
noodle shops,
weed.
UPS.
Chinese food, donuts, pizza.
Staples used to be here, then it went out. Now it's coming back, I guess. Yeah, this went out.
This one or the one?
One here, one out. Now it's back, or at least it's a smaller version, perhaps, of the one that used to be here.
Who knows what's
There's
happening.
that place, the font of all evil, the UN. I'll tell you one place that needs regime change. Right there.
Yeah, they should just kick it out.
Take all those high and mighty fucking assholes
Exactly.
and tell them to exit stage left and shut up.
Yeah, by the way, you got to pay for your own plane tickets.
Right.
And your car's illegally parked. Get the hell out of here.
Exactly. And leave, tear the building down and take out all the asbestos at your expense and never come back.
Charles, years ago, I got my car towed, and I had to go to the impound lot.
Staten Island or something?
No, it's all the way, at that time, I don't know where it is now. I'm just very much more careful about not having this happen. But it was all the way on the west side, and it was like late at night, and I was in there, and there's this like gigantic fat woman sitting behind the desk wearing some kind of NYPD traffic outfit, eating a Big Mac, and it's like she's there's a whole line, and she's like eating it, and then she's got napkins, and she's wiping her mouth, and she's wiping off this TV that the McDonald's food went nowhere near, cleaning her desk, and like taking every minute to not tend to anybody, and like just everybody was seething in there.
Right. Probably making, $80,000 a year.
And pension. And then, but then when you get your car back, the headlights are broken and it's dented and whatever, and they're like, hey, F you. But they could do that to all the diplomats. Oh, it's a trucker convoy, Charles. Call Justin Trudeau.
That's right. That convoy is now, I guess, 3 days away from D.C.
Right. But they're sort of lifting all the COVID mandates. So we don't, I don't know, is that convoy, what are they after now?
I don't know. Capitol Grill, is this in business? I guess so.
Yeah.
I went here once, it wasn't bad.
I think I've been to that in D.C.
Jesus.
It's really loud.
Very loud for a truck that's not carrying anything. I mean, tell me that they designed, here, another COVID test.
Yeah.
This is a classic example of government, right? Provide something for free that nobody wants and then charge you for it.
And then have too much of it.
Right, that's the government at work.
And also Joe Biden announced that he's going to have some special investigation into people who have been stealing funds that were designed to help COVID.
That was right before the people took him away in handcuffs?
I was going to say, why don't we investigate all the stuff that your son stole?
And that he stole.
Right. What do we know about what's happening with Devin Archer?
He got sentenced to 15 months in prison.
But since then, because honestly, I think if you're Devin Archer, the life expectancy of a Hunter Biden witness in federal prison, pretty low, I think.
The good news is they're going to be served French food tonight, Devin. The bad news is this is the Luc Brunel suite.
Right.
I don't think I'm happy with that.
You don't really know what's going to happen to him, right? And what about Durham?
Durham keeps noodling along. Apparently, the press is so out of control. They were accusing Maria. They said on Google News, this is great. Here's a good look.
This guy's getting totally naked.
There's another person there.
Oh my God.
Another COVID test.
Maybe they were, I don't know what the hell they were doing.
Writhing in agony from a COVID test and another COVID test.
Yeah.
But, what were you asking me a question about?
Well, Devin Archer and
Durham. So, Maria Bartiromo, the story ran, Maria Bartiromo rants that the coverage of the State of the Union and Ukraine is an effort by the deep state to distract from the Durham report. Which, that's not far-fetched.
Yeah.
I would like to know exactly what the budget was, our taxpayer funds, spent on the Ukraine mission. All agencies, CIA, FBI, State Department, everything. What have we been spending money on?
I've heard them say $1 billion, and I've heard them say $5 billion.
Well, per year, I want to know.
Right.
And who was in charge of that? What were we doing? Who were the contractors? What were they tasked to do? Who
Well, they
tasked
were
them to do?
building these biolabs.
Who oversaw all that?
We've seen some of the paperwork.
Jesus.
That goddamn truck is like just hanging on every block we're on, doing nothing but making noise.
Yeah.
We gotta go that way.
Yeah, we're going to go down Park. That's why I was taking you to Park. Well, I figure we go down, unless it goes down Park, which I don't think it can. Yeah, we'll go here. Then Biden was bragging about we're going to put up we're going to redo 1,500 bridges.
Come on.
And then Buttigieg apparently, he looked like he'd been the worse for wear actually. He wasn't, no, Buttigieg was in the crowd and he wasn't shaven.
Oh, I didn't
and he
see
looked
that.
like he had been on a bender with too much vodka from those lobbyists.
What about that Poppers is probably what
I don't want to go there. But I was trying to keep it clean, Jason. Just trying to keep it vodka clean. But he's apparently not going to widen roads because that's, of course, racist, the roads.
Well, maybe he could give the amyl nitrate to the roads and that'll kind of loosen them up and spread it out.
And again, Tucker's been appropriately withering in his criticism.
But wait, why doesn't he want to widen roads? What's the argument?
It's just perverse. It's like somebody saying, I don't like the color gray. I mean, you can have a white wall or a black wall. I don't see the need for a
Sounds
gray
like
wall.
one of your interior designers.
Exactly.
I don't see the need.
Gray has no, that color doesn't figure in our palette. This guy's
Right.
very busy on his cell phone. I think you should have the right, if you're a pedestrian walking down the street, to take out a rubber mallet, not a really hard mallet. Anybody who's walking down the street like this with a phone, you should be able to smack the phone or the person on the head or both if they don't get out of your way.
According to that banker with the degree who works at the World Economic Forum, if you curse at someone, you deserve to be assaulted. And he cursed at me.
So
I said, you cursed at me. Should I assault you? I mean, the guy was making no sense. He's like, I have a degree.
He's making no sense working for the World Economic Forum. Huh.
Well, he said he didn't work for the World Economic Forum.
Nobody does.
But he's heard of it. I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. The guy was an idiot.
Maybe you should work at BDO. Our company has been indicted. Well, that's not a problem. We've hired BDO and we paid off Joe Biden.
What is BDO?
It's an accounting firm. But they had ads, I think.
Didn't it used to be BBD&O?
That's
an advertising.
They had, I think that's the one that advertising where they had like the CEO talking to the CFO and in the in the lobby of a hotel, of an office building, saying, "We've just heard from the SEC, and they're asking us questions about this, that, and the other thing. Aren't you worried? No, we've got BDO." What they really meant is we've got CrowdStrike, and they're going to bring in the bleach bidding, and we've erased that evidence. Not to worry.
CrowdStrike I've been thinking about a lot lately also because, they're like, oh, the Russians are hacking, So if the Russians are such great cyber operatives, how is it that RT was able to be taken out for days? I have a feeling that the United States, China, and maybe Israel are probably the most capable
We got it.
cyber operatives.
If you're going to work on this show, you got to pronounce China.
China. But there's really not a lot of evidence that Russia is this massive, like we've never seen. This was a great moment and kind of sums up the difference between Putin and almost everybody in our government. On that NBC interview with some British guy who we've never seen before, who probably is an MI6 operative, he said, and these are talking points that people I speak to use as well. They're like, oh, Putin has you've murdered your enemies. What's his name? Litvenko, the guy with the polonium.
Right.
And Skripal and his daughter, and he mentioned a few other things. And Putin just said, well, look, you've mentioned allegations.
Right.
You've named the people who have made these allegations. Present the evidence.
No, we're going this way, but I'm just...
Oh, you're just pointing to the garbage.
I'm pointing to... No, that's not garbage. That's a residential attribute.
Right.
That's a feature. It used to be penthouse with a view. Now it's apartment with garbage stacks.
Garbage adjacent. But Putin basically said, you're talking about allegations and naming the people who have made the allegations, present the evidence and we'll address the evidence. And the guy did not do that. He just moves on to the next question.
Well, that's how they roll, you know.
But it's something that any thinking person, no matter what your preferences, your biases, whoever you like or dislike, you simply have to acknowledge the facts of that circumstance. And I mean, if the guy is,
But that's
that's a
old.
reasonable position.
But Jason, that's so old, logic based. That's
Right.
like, you know, that's
Don't like that.
racist, and you know, like math is racist.
Right.
I don't need your stinking facts. I'm triggered.
That's the thing. When you present somebody with that, here, look, here's more of these tessellated animals or whatever this is.
But
This,
oh,
that looks like a polar bear.
actually, I thought that was a woman.
No, this thing
Oh.
across the street.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's an elephant.
So this is the Hotel Kitano, or Kitano Hotel.
Yeah, it's Japanese.
Have
for
you ever been in here?
Sword.
No, it's very good. You ever been in here?
No.
This is where somebody pulled the oldest trick in the book. Charles, let's meet for a drink. Okay. So I meet.
Oh, I
Christopher-
forgot my wallet in the
No,
car.
no. It's a woman. I'm going to pay. You know, now that we're here, let's have dinner. No,
Oh.
Actually, I sort of thought we'd have a drink because I don't know you at all.
Right.
But I bought
She's
the
like, but
dinner.
I really want a $200 dinner and I don't want to pay for it.
Right. So that happened. That's all.
Oh, man.
That playbook has been.
Now, this
is pretty good, actually. This place.
But it's like the Norwegian.
No, Scandinavian.
Yeah. There was some guy giving out,
It's good.
I don't know, syrup or something the
Is
last
that
time
the
I was
food?
there.
Well, we went to Norway together. That was our last international trip. But the food here is pretty good.
I think that was my last time on an airplane.
Mine too. And this building went up. This used to be some kind of consulate or something, and they put up this slim building that, to my knowledge, has never really been fully.
Oh, wow, yeah, look.
And this apartment where you see the windows tilted in, that was our living room, and our bedroom was where the other air conditioner is. We didn't have windows like that,
I don't like windows like that. They're
especially on this floor. You can easily just
throw something
throw
in there.
shit in there. I really, of the many things I've done that I wish I hadn't done, selling that apartment,
Yeah.
stupid.
Would be
I
worth
mean,
a
it's
lot.
so perfectly located. Yeah,
Hey, look, there's an alligator and a bull.
Yeah, but see how quiet it is here?
I'm
Right.
hearing sirens.
Well, I mean, it's pretty quiet for New York City. And this is the exit, the primary exit street off LaGuardia Taxi,
Ooh, that guy just almost rear-ended the...
right? So you know, if you want to catch a taxi, you're standing in
in the
front.
teeth.
No, you're standing in front of my building right there. There's the entrance. Taxis coming right here. You're coming back from the airport. Zips. It's like
Yeah.
20 minutes from LaGuardia. And if you want to join the Union League Club, which is relatively easy to do, it's a pretty nice place. Not that expensive. Great for entertaining. And J.P. Morgan's house was up the street here on 36th, I think, and 36th or 7th in Madison.
I was-
now a museum.
I was reading that Donald Trump moved to quash the subpoenas from Attorney General Letitia James,
He's going to fight that forever.
but they said, too bad. We're not going to do that.
He's-
You have to...
He's going to fight it. You know, he'll fight it. He'll find another way to fight it. He'll delay. But Letitia James should be ashamed of herself. I mean,
I think she's proud of it.
again, why? I mean,
Because
what?
everybody wants to get Trumpy.
Well, what they're doing is they made the case against investing in New York. Why would you put a penny in this fucking place?
Yeah.
Right? There's no point. If you're going to interpret the rules for or against you based on whether you contribute to crooked politicians in the most expensive media market in the country, right? So campaigns are always going to be expensive, so politicians are always going to need money. Why would you live here? Why would you make a big investment here? Doesn't make any sense. Unless you already have one, you can't get rid of it.
Yeah. It's bad. I don't know.
I mean, it's not even nice to, I mean, you can't do what you used to be able to do. You used to be able to come here, and there was so much foot traffic, particularly in the spring and summer and fall, that you could go out not knowing where you were exactly, hail a cab, come back to your hotel at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you probably wouldn't get attacked, even if you were
Right.
shit-faced. Now, if you go out after dark,
Right, 6, 7 o'clock. It's
or
daytime. It's dangerous.
daytime, absolutely. The person who had the face treatment, shall we say,
Daytime on the subway.
was like, and the guy's laughing about it.
Well, and so frequently, Charles, it's somebody who's just been let out on bail, has been arrested 40 times previously.
Right.
What the hell are they doing making all these, concessions for criminals when it's not rehabilitating anybody, it's just giving them more opportunities to go do other crimes.
Well, and it's obvious that to put it charitably, either that there's another nice garbage adjacent pile, 2, 3 garbages. See the thing further down, Jason?
I see it all.
Welcome to garbage adjacent Manhattan.
Yep.
And we could probably go. And don't try to tell me that, you need a face mask, but it's okay to leave piles of garbage out forever that people are going to rummage into where you don't know actually what's in there. Just don't try to tell me that that's reasonable, because it's not.
So has Putin responded to Biden's stupid speech?
I think by dropping, we'll see whether he caved. I mean, I don't know whether somebody could tell us in the comments whether Putin has caved or whether he stepped it up.
But caved to do what? Just give up and leave?
Well, that's the theory, that the pressure on his neck is so great that maybe he's going to, just cut his losses, agree to a ceasefire. I don't think so either, but it's now 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, which is typically prime bomb dropping time.
Whoa, look at this picture on the front of...
Guessing they're not. First major city falls. Yeah, I have a feeling he's not going to cave. He's not going to cave on Kyiv.
So Anonymous claims to have shut down the Russia Space Agency. What do you think about claims from anonymous, unknown hacker collectives attacking? I mean, if Russia is susceptible to Anonymous, how could they be a cyber power on the global stage?
Look, that world, I don't know a lot about it, but my understanding is that world is filled with 12 and 14-year-old super geniuses who are somewhat tough to track in certain cases. But I believe that a number of nations, even Obama said when he was president, or his people said, that one of the biggest threats we face in this country is cyber attacks from a bunch of state and non-state actors, and he was thinking there of something like Anonymous. So I don't doubt that Anonymous...
But they haven't made any effort to try. There was like a little bit of an effort to arrest people from Anonymous, but
so my point is that in the middle of... This is why I was so much against what's going on here. When you go down this track, which, I fault our side, and I certainly fault Putin for going on this track. When you go down this track with a whole bunch of knuckleheads, which we know in all these countries are knuckleheads at the top of most of them. Biden is probably an intellectual genius compared to the leader of, Norway. But mistakes happen. People will misread intentions, which I think we've done here with Putin. They've, falsely said...
They deliberately did that.
Well, I think they falsely said he doesn't have any reasonable motive to do this without looking into what he's actually saying.
That's not misreading. That's covering up that they know he's countering their effort to try to destroy him.
Well, and they're trying to cover up, Jake Sullivan's trying to cover up his handiwork, and Hillary's handiwork, and Obama's handiwork, and Biden's handiwork, and Bush's handiwork, and Cheney's handiwork. But the point is, this shit spins out of control very quickly. And all it will take now, and I can see this happening, it happened, for example, in Syria, is my contention, that it wasn't necessarily Assad's forces or Russia who used chemical weapons in Syria. It was probably somebody else, and we don't yet know who that really was. Similarly, in this theater, which is big, Ukraine, we could well have maniacs, neo-Nazis, or who knows what, crazy people, perpetrate an outrageous act against a school, a hospital, or both, blame it on Russia, inflame passions, and that'll then lead a hothead from one country or another to push us to drop a tactical nuke. Last night, I think I may have sent you a picture
of bomb or something?
A thermobaric bomb, I think. Let's go on right here.
Well, it's interesting that they talk about how, that's against the Geneva Convention. But they never mention that the United States has been dropping depleted uranium weapons in the Middle East for 20 years, which is also against the Geneva Convention.
Again, I reject, if you're gonna engage in war, my father was talking to me about this last night. He explained that when he was never close to being in physical danger in World War II, but nonetheless he was in the Navy, and he was training in some base out in California, and so, they'd had no instruction on physical combat. And so he tells the story that some tough guy from the Marines came in and was trying to give them training, and the guy says, all right, in a gruff voice, how many of you have experience in sports? And everybody, more or less, except my dad, raised his hands and said, Dad wasn't into sports, or is not into sports, and said, yeah, we have experience in that. And this guy said, that will not serve you well. War is nothing like sports.
Oh.
War is about killing the other person as quickly as possible. That's war.
Wow.
And well, that's what it is.
True.
And so when you get, and he said there are no rules, this guy. And so when you try to say that it's okay to shoot somebody with a bullet and kill them,
right?
But it's
not this kind of bullet,
not this kind of bomb or this kind of thing.
Right.
Come on. In both cases, you're trying to kill the person.
Right.
And there's one death is not better than another.
Right.
Right, in a hostility.
I mean, I think things like not using chemical weapons because they spread around too much, or kill too many innocent people, that's different than a bullet. So there is something there, but I mean, the point is the hypocrisy. This fuel air bomb or thermobaric bomb or whatever it is, the United States has used those. Jimmy Moriarty described how they were used in Libya.
We used nuclear weapons on multiple occasions in Japan after the Japanese had basically not surrendered, but after it was clear that the Japanese had lost.
Yeah, it's very hypocritical.
But again, that's why war is bad. That's why you try not to get to a place where you're in war. And Biden has not completed 5 quarters as president. This is in his 5th quarter. He'll complete the 5th one April 30th. And already we've had a disastrous humiliation where we still have Americans in captivity in Afghanistan after 20 years of a misadventure, trillions of dollars spent, how many lives, how many people hurt and mentally incapacitated. We have that. And so people look at that and say, this is not a modern fighting force. These people are too busy focused on social justice and what kind of uniforms people should wear. And now's the time to push the envelope. So, Kamomi Pet.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's a lot of pet-related stores and veterinary hospitals opening as well. And this is the second thing that we've seen today called Truman's, which is interesting considering people
still out of business.
Well, but people yesterday were saying that it was like the Truman Show, and I'm Truman.
What is the Truman Show? I forget.
Where Jim Carrey is in a reality show, and he's the only one who doesn't know it.
Right.
Except that the actors in my reality show are terrible.
Excuse me?
And I
resent that.
am aware this guy is just
am I not in your
ready
reality
to crash
show, Jason?
into us. What?
Am I not in your reality show?
Yes, but I'm saying
so you're saying I'm a terrible actor?
No, they're saying the people who are you weren't in it yesterday.
Oh, I see.
And it was the people who were messing with me on the street who are the actors. I didn't mean to exclude you.
I'm just yanking your chain.
We've been in the shade really the whole time, unfortunately, because it's now kind of windy.
Because all these buildings are
cold.
Too tall Jones.
So, I mean, we're like so far afield from the Clinton Foundation, and
we're getting right to the Clinton Foundation. It was, some of the money that was. I've been writing, not a final version, but closer to the type of stuff I intend to publish. And when you really tell the tale and lay out the facts, it's an overwhelming indictment of Comey, of Mueller, of the Clinton family, of Obama, of the Bush family, of the IRS, the FBI, the Department of Justice, of the media, it's overwhelming. And it tells me that if we're going to have any true reporting going forward, fuck the Columbia School of Journalism.
I agree.
Fuck all these schools that take people who only know how to write. You want to be somebody who's going to comment about a country that is basically still barely a capitalist economy. You must know basic arithmetic. You must know finance. You must know accounting. You must understand how the SEC should work. You must understand how to value security. When you can do all that, then you can write to your heart's content about how politicians, why it's okay for the Pelosi's of this world to trade on insider information and feather their nests. You can write all those stories after you prove to me that you understand finance.
Right.
But none of these people do.
I don't even think they understand common sense.
And so, in consequence, what they like. Yesterday, I saw on my Twitter feed somebody had put up a story again, saying that the Clinton's largest government donor was Ukraine.
Yeah, they love people. People love putting that out.
Right. And so I said, when it first came out, I said, no, that's not true. The largest one is United. And I put some facts up that it's a government consortium, including one NGO, the Gates Foundation, and they've given more than $600 million since 2006 to the Clinton Foundation and to Chai. And so then some young person, I think it was a student of journalism at Georgetown, with like 1,000 followers but a blue check on Twitter, named Mackenzie Sadeghi, woman, does a fact check, whatever it is. We should call it a Politburo fact check.
Right.
Saying it's all wrong. That in
what
fact,
you said is wrong.
Not what I said, but this 10 million thing for Ukraine is all wrong, and that counts Pinchuk, and he wasn't in the government, but technically his father-in-law was the leader of the country, and the money that may have come to him could have been government money. But anyway,
right. So
I sent her a DM. She's published this in USA Today.
Wow.
And I sent her a DM saying, listen, yesterday, here's the truth. Right, and here's what you need to know, and I gave her some facts, and I said, you can contact me. I gave her my email address. What did I get?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Huh. Wow. So this person, how did they get into USA Today? We don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? But it's just, when in 2016, when I was ranting and raving all over the place, and eventually somebody from the Poynter School of Journalism, which runs...
started by the Poynter sisters?
Hi.
PolitiFact. PolitiFact is part, I think, is somehow connected to Poynter. I contacted the guy, and he agreed to talk to me. We had a phone conversation. And I started and I said, before we get into too much, I want to ask you a simple question. How much do you know about tax-exempt organizations?
Nothing.
And he said, absolutely nothing.
Right.
So, okay. That's part of the problem.
Right.
Because this little kid is running next to you.
Whoa.
Jackie Joyner Kersee.
Whoa.
That's impressive. But you see how that was like William in Hong Kong.
Yeah, she ran away quickly.
Well,
I think that guy scared her.
Well, you can run. Little kids can run underneath the legs of bigger people, and that's what William did in this.
Nice car, Charles.
Right. So anyway, I spoke to this guy, gave him a lot of facts, and he wrote a whitewash, saying everything was fine about the Clinton Foundation. After Clintons took him to Africa.
What?
To see some of their projects. And
was that before you spoke to him or after you spoke to him?
I spoke to him. He goes to Africa. He writes the whitewash.
Wow.
That's how they roll.
Why would the Clintons take this journalist to Africa?
Because, let's see, you want to go that way?
Well, let's go into the park.
All right, because it's, you're a journalist and you're not making so much money and you get to fly in a private jet.
That seems weird.
That's not weird at all. That's how they do it. They take a troop of journalists over to Africa, and you get to meet heads of state in Africa, and you go to these dinners and you see these affairs, and you hang around with Bill Clinton and you play cards with Bill Clinton, and if you're a woman, maybe you do more than that. And you write this glowing bullshit, which is the way they roll. That's just how they maneuver it. And I just don't think you should, as a journalist, You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah, John Solomon wouldn't let me pay for a pizza,
Wow.
which I appreciated. I mean, that was like,
Those
wow.
pizzas are expensive.
No, it was like $12 or whatever.
I'm just teasing.
But he just didn't even want that.
Yeah, well, John is a first-rate journalist.
Well,
And according to Angel Fruit in the Head Urena,
uh-huh.
it's one of the 3 grievances the Clintons have against me that I'm friendly with them.
Well, I don't know, because John Solomon was working for a George Soros thing way back when.
Well, his work for the last, since 16 has been first rate. I mean, really good.
But he's not talking about any of this Bill Browder stuff. He's not talking about...
He's talking about what he wants to talk about, Jason, but at least he does, the stuff that he does, he follows what I do. I mean, he's obviously more experienced than I am, but he's followed this idea that I came up with, that instead of just writing a story, you should publish a story first with the links to the details, and ideally at the end, you put, if you want more info, go here.
Right.
And you give them, the people like me, I don't care what John Solomon particularly concludes. I want to see the basis upon
Where
which
he
he drew
started.
his conclusion.
Right.
I mean, I'm interested in what he concludes, but I want to triple check it. Again, I ask, why is this ground so brown? Probably not great to stand it. Right?
Well, it's the dog run.
Yeah, I know, but it's a pandemic. You know, you think
I think it's these wood chips.
So Jason, do you think like the COVID like stops there and says we're not going to go here?
I think COVID is over.
I think COVID's been over for a while.
Yeah.
Stupid is here to stay.
You can't cure stupid, Charles.
I know. You can promote it to President of the United States.
Yes.
I can't wait to read Kamala Harris's first book.
Oh my
See
God.
Spot Run. Run, Spot, run.
It's just embarrassing, the leadership of this country right now.
And Biden's will be Adventures with Dick and Jane. Fortunately, it'll be X-rated, and I don't want to read about it.
And nothing about Hunter Biden. So when does...
Well, supposedly there's a grand jury, but whether it'll come, you gonna go that way or yeah,
Sure, yeah, I
that
mean...
gets you home. I mean, we're either going to have, they asked me this in the Norwegian thing, we're either going to have, you know, the hammer comes down and it's like, you know, Hillary's going to be the next president. We're taking all your shit.
Whose?
Your shit, my shit.
I don't like that.
And, you know, you're on the Matthew Perna program. You know, you're going to jump up and commit suicide, which is obviously something I don't want to see happen. Or the public is, you know, interesting. Tulsi Gabbard, who grew up in a strange environment and is a little bit odd to me, but
Yeah.
I like some of her message. And she was asked on Tucker yesterday, you know, Tucker said, well, you were slandered. And when you were running for president, a sitting congressperson on the House Armed Services Committee, they accused you of being a Russian spy.
Oh, that was Hillary.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people who are, because Tucker has been accused of that. What advice would you give to the American population now? What we do? And she said, you got to speak up. You know, you can't just shut up. You've got to speak up, make your voices known. That's what makes this country great.
Right.
And that's true. You know, if you're wrong, the idea here is not that everybody who chooses to speak up will get things perfectly right. The idea is that out of a debate, a constructive exchange of views, we will advance.
It'll merge.
We'll advance the process of getting closer to truth.
Right.
I mean, truth exists. The question is whether you're going to perceive it.
Well, they've already harmed that because so many people have become fearful of speaking up because they see what happens to other people.
I think those days are. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if, you know, if.
I mean, Charles, we've already been victims of it. We've done the First Amendment forum where we've felt that we couldn't really speak openly on YouTube and had to go to patreon.com/crowdsource the truth and subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth. And I know that there's things that I choose not to say because I just feel like, you know what, if I do that, they're just going to take the video down and nobody will see it.
Right, but if you go back and you look at the stuff that we've been saying, pick the pandemic period forward, you know, what we said almost immediately in pandemic prior to the lockdown and then with the lockdown has been proven correct. At the time, though, it was anathema. It was like,
Yeah.
but it's been, and people are noticing that. People, and really what's dangerous, I think Tucker and others have been talking about this, what's dangerous about through all this is that, and maybe this was wrong to begin with, people used to hold the medical profession in high esteem.
Right.
So that if you went to a doctor and the doctor said, you've got this condition,
Just didn't question it.
well, unless it were like you should cut off your leg because
Right.
you know,
It was rare.
because you've been snoring, you know, that kind of stuff. But you'll get a second opinion if it's a radical procedure that somebody suggests. But now, the doctors have so befouled themselves,
Yep.
Fauci included, who thankfully has been out of, you know, off the pedestal.
For a while.
And I wonder where they buried him.
I don't know.
But
They've basically made it so that I think most people don't trust. There were a lot of people who didn't trust doctors before, but I think there's a whole huge new crop.
what's the name of it? There's like agoraphobia and whatever. There must be a something.
Fear of doctors?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Metaphobia? I don't know.
I don't know. Gotta be.
Fear
Maybe
of
someone will tell us in the comments.
Sure.
That's the type of thing the comments section will know the
fear
answer
of
to.
Jill Biden. Dr. Jill Biden.
Phobia. Ukraine. Let's see.
Look at this guy.
Oh my gosh.
This is the thing, you know, just walk out,
He's playing Frogger,
just like,
and then he's like waiting to get hit by whoever looks like they have the best insurance.
you
He's
know,
literally playing Frogger.
you know, people do that. I've seen that. I mean, this is not like confined to 2022 or New York. I mean, people have been doing that. I saw while I was waiting for you, there was a woman in a wheelchair doing that.
Oh, this guy just made a left on red and almost hit that dude on the motorcycle.
Why not? You know, here he's doing it again. Crossing against
Yep.
the light. Oh,
Charles,
man.
it's like,
It's like you got bad rappers.
well, we're just touring the interior of the insane asylum.
And that guy's got his pants down below his waist as well. It's
The
another,
homeless shelter is right over there next door to We Work.
we don't work.
Right. Isn't that almost like rubbing it in their face? To have a homeless shelter right next to a place called We Work.
I think in that same McDonald's I was telling you about, I was checking in there one morning and there was a man talking to a woman who was working and saying, "Man, you don't know what you're doing. I don't work,
Oh yeah, you did tell me
you
that.
know, and you're a chump. You don't need to work. We just sign you up over here and sign you up over there. That's what I do."
That's like the Eddie Murphy sketch where he's like, how would you like to earn up to $500 a day in the privacy of your own home? Buy my book, How to Be a Hoe. Velvet Jones. And he's like, you know, TV ad. Pretty
man.
funny.
Hunter, don't give Hunter too many more ideas. That's what he'll be doing next.
It's just so,
Dare to be great.
it's hard to believe that these people say these things with a straight face, can lie so blatantly. And the only thing that's even more disturbing is the number of people who just eat it up without question.
Yeah, and the number of lies that Biden told last night, just that we're going to have all this spending, need all this money, and we're not going to raise taxes on anybody who's making $400,000 a year or less, and the math just doesn't work.
Because that's most people, isn't it?
It just doesn't work. I mean, the sad reality is that what he's talking about is income taxes. And when you talk about a minimum corporate tax, which is income tax, the people who pay that tax are the poor. It's not like, you know, a corporation has to pay tax suddenly and they say, you know what?
Keep the prices the same.
I'll eat that.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to raise prices. And to
Yeah.
the extent they can, you're going to pay it, and they're not. Nice.
What they should do is they should increase the taxes on highly compensated corporate executives.
They should increase the taxes on lobbyists.
Right.
And they should increase the taxes on crooked politicians.
Well, and just enforce the laws on tax-exempt stuff and collect all the money that
Yeah.
everybody is stealing.
Right.
And make sure Hunter Biden can't steal money. That's the problem. They don't need to increase taxes. They need to enforce the laws and crack down on
Don't use
corruption.
that word crack around Hunter Biden.
Exactly. He's like, I'll sign up for that.
That sounds great.
Vice President in charge of cracking down. But Charles, we're out of runway,
Good.
out of time.
Let's make sure we land the plane, though.
Yes,
before we go
and I want to
completely
thank
out of runway.
everybody for joining us here. Become a sponsor, and you'll have an opportunity to watch tonight's episode of High Dive with Lee Stranahan. Last week's episode was really very informative, Charles. Lee, I have to say, knows more about the Russia-Ukraine situation really than any other journalist that I'm aware of. And he has been giving us some tremendous insights. So please tune in tonight at 8:30. Subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Even if you don't want to access a huge library of sponsor-exclusive content, your sponsorship is really important because I'm getting hammered. And the AT&T data chips and all the stuff that we need to keep the show going, it's provided by the viewer sponsors and their sponsorship. So thanks to everybody who's doing that. Have a great afternoon. I'll see everybody tonight on High Dive with Lee